Show committed to equipping you to hone your media skills better to stand out from the crowd as a go-to expert in your field. Each week, Rich Bontrager interviews top leaders, influencers, authors, speakers, podcasters, and media professionals about how to leverage media best to help you shine brighter on camera and stage as a go-to expert. Now, here's your host, The Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Good evening. Welcome back again to How to Rock the Stage. It's Wednesday night, and we're streaming live on multiple channels once again to help you shine on camera, shine on stage, elevate you and your brand authority. That's our brand promise at Rock the Stage Media, and we do it each and every week with amazing guests, hot topics, great conversation. Of course, you can add your thoughts through the chat box tonight. So as we get rolling tonight, drop in, say hi, where you're listening from, what are your thoughts, and please join in throughout the evening to ask questions, give feedback, share your own thoughts as we get into a very timely topic. But before we do that, we do want to mention our sponsors, and they make this all possible. The National Speakers Association celebrating 50 years. In fact, they just had their 50-year celebration. My guest tonight was there. The NSA, the National Speakers Association. If you'd like to learn more about that, check out the NSA and learn how to elevate yourself as a public speaker. I'm a member. My guest is a member. It's a great place to be a part of that. And of course, Audavita Studios is now powering How to Rock the Stage. And Audavita Studios is an amazing group of professional media experts that help us with state-of-the-art technology. They help us to amplify our message out to the marketplace. And they work to produce audiobooks, podcast series, and much, much more. Audavita.com is where you want to learn more about them. And of course, we're always happy to directly to you if that's going to help you out as well. But tonight, Rock the Stage is going to be getting into the hottest topic going on out there, AI and the new media. If you've gone out to any movies recently, you're seeing AI in major motion pictures. If you're following in the trends and the action out in Hollywood, the actor strike, the director's strike, you're hearing about AI. It's impacting everyone, and it may be impacting your world and your business very, very soon. Tonight, Chuch Gallaher is going to be my guest. International ethics and sexual harassment speaker, author, and consultant. He's also the president of the sportsethics.com, the CEO of the Ethics Research Group, and Virtual Training Associates. He's got it all wrapped up. This is an ethical dilemma that we're going to deal with tonight. He knows about video very powerfully and how AI is coming into our world. Chuch Gallaher, welcome to How to Rock the Stage, my friend.
Rich, it is a pleasure to be here. Oh, my goodness. Thanks so much for the invite.
Yeah, you just got off the road from NSA. So before we jump into this, the National Speakers Association, you and I are members of this 50-year celebration. How was the media down there?
Oh, man. First thing, let me just tell you, this year was off the charts. It was really, really good, very timely in terms of what we need. We saw some of the coolest presentations in technology. And of course, everybody was talking about our topic tonight because it just has exploded on the scene.
What is the buzz out there from what you're hearing from other speakers? Because this will impact our world as speakers, producers of content. This will have an impact. So what are they saying?
Well, so here's the thing. There was a particular session that dealt with AI. And so it was packed to the brim. I mean, you couldn't cram more people in. I'm surprised the hotel didn't get some of us out because of fire code. But the question was, how many people in this room of probably 250, maybe 300, how many people had heard of ChatGPT, and you'd almost have to be under a rock if you haven't, and how many were actually using it in some form? The majority of the room raised their hands in some form, but half the room raised their hands saying, we actually use it every day.
Wow.
Now, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And the thing that strikes me, there was a comment that was made, which was really pretty powerful. And here's what I'm going to paraphrase it. It was, the internet existed for the government and the military years back until Netscape came along and created a browser that opened the portal.
Yes.
Okay. So AI has existed in various forms for years. We hear about it, but couldn't use it until OpenAI opened the portal and gave us mere mortals a chance to use it. And then it's been a holy crap kind of moment in terms of the learning curve and what we can do with it.
And it's only getting hotter and hotter.
Absolutely.
Tonight, there was breaking news. Watching the news before we come on live, Netflix is going to be changing their bottom level plan of payment. This is affecting everyone so much right now. And in fact, the writer's strike, the director's strike, as I said, they're on strike. And one of the number one, number two topics is AI is impacting our industry now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And in the video business, what do you see with that?
Well, okay, so there are like so many directions that we can go with this. But let me give you an easy one, okay? I've written a book. Well, I've written several books, but I've written a book and it's in the edit stages, okay? So I took the first chapter and I was sending it to editors because I wanted to find somebody that was just not going to butcher my voice, that could capture it, right? So I finally settled on an editor, doing a great job. But I thought to myself, gosh, I wish I could write more emotionally, right? So I went to ChatGPT and I said, identify 5 New York Times bestselling authors who are known for their emotional writing style. There's 5. Started with Nicholas Sparks. A little too schmaltzy. Do like his movies, I have to say. But one of them was the author of The Kite Runner. And I thought, that was a good book turned into a movie, kind of serious. So I took the first chapter. I put it into ChatGPT. I instructed it, do not change any quotes because it's dialogue. Yep. Otherwise, rewrite the chapter in the style of The Kite Runner. Well, holy crap, Rich. In 45 seconds, the chapter's rewritten. And dude, I'm just going to tell you, if I could write like that, I'd be a freaking New York Times bestseller.
So that brings up a huge point because colleges, high schools are already saying we can tell if it's AI or authentic writing. So you can use AI to go research. The ChatGPT can be used that way, but you do need to put your own voice into it. But for those that are not, we're into an ethical problem right now, boss, aren't we?
Well, you are. Now look, I want to take a moment here and go contrarian for just a second, okay?
Please.
Just so you know, because some people can get all wigged about this stuff. When I was in college, good God, that was ages ago. But in my finance class, walk into class and we all have the textbook. And the instructor says, there's 2 ways to pass this class. One is learn the formulas, learn what to do and how to do it and put the numbers in and figure it out and you get the answer. Or go out and buy a Texas Instrument Business Analyst 2. Because his point is, it is all about getting the right answer or the best answer, not about how you got there. So let me just say this. I have written blogs where I came up with an idea and ChatGPT wrote the first iteration of the blog.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, there's some good stuff in there that old Chuck didn't even know.
Yeah.
So it expanded my knowledge. Now, to your point, I need to make sure it's okay and accurate. So there's a formula that I use. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but I've took it from ChatGPT to another AI called Quillbot. Quillbot is a paraphraser. So it will take written content and paraphrase it. So it paraphrased it. Then I took it to Grammarly to make sure that grammatically it was correct.
Yep.
And when I finished that, Grammarly has a plagiarism checker. So I plagiarism checked it, fixed any things that needed to be fixed, and then I took it into one of the AI detectors, and it said it was 100% human written.
Wow. Okay, but you had to do several steps to get it there. Left by itself in the original iteration, you would have got busted several times.
Yeah. Okay. So funny little story. I think it's funny personally. There is an attorney up in the New England area, New York, New Jersey, whatever, apparently representing somebody against a major airline, right? So they're filing suit, it was wrongful something, but anyway, they file suit in court and ChatGPT wrote the brief. Now the judge gets it and the other side, the other attorney gets it and they're trying to find the citations. Where did these come from? Turns out ChatGPT just made that stuff up. I mean, it didn't exist at all. It was just made up. It will do that. And so you have to check it. By the way, I could not imagine being the attorney that has to out myself now all over the world that I'm a dumbass and wrote this thing using ChatGPT and didn't have the smarts to check it.
So you bring that up. My dad's a lawyer, a judge. He's always been referencing, we've had the big books on the wall, tons of books on the wall. Now, at a click of a button, you can go research, you can go find this information.
Yep.
But now we're into what the Hollywood actors and directors are beginning to touch on. Those authors, those creators are not going to get credited for this. It's a open source resource now. Where does that line go? How do we keep control of just being open for everybody? But the original creators, this is going to happen with video. This is going to happen with everything, with games. How do we get our due, our just rights?
Well, and Rich, this is going to be the area that probably, in my opinion, in the short run, will get the most litigation. Because let's just think about AI image generators. Okay, you've got all of these images everywhere, and you say to it, I want an image of the Great Smoky Mountains in the early evening after a thunderstorm with the fog rolling in.
Yes.
And by gosh, it'll create it. But what it's functionally doing is it's going out over the entire internet, finding the Great Smoky Mountains and fog and whatever, and taking snippets of that and putting it together into this new image.
Yes.
Now, here's the weird question, and that is, if you or I went to a library and we were going to write a book, and you found 20 research questions, or you had 20 things that you wanted to include in that book, and you found 20 books and took little pieces from all of those books, just ideas that you then expounded on and wrote, how would that take place in your book? Now, some people would argue you have to give credit to every piece of something that you might cite. But if it's an idea that you take the idea, but then you completely state it in your own words, at what point have you stolen something, or are you using everything that's out there? And people would say there's nothing new under the sun. And it's like, you can't just take a tiny piece of something and assume it's only going to be yours forever.
Well, I think Nancy's kind of driving at that point. Thank you, Nancy, for dropping in the question. If she wants to know about that original content, where does it go? How far do we go? It's that's what everyone's kind of concerned about, from the arts to the video to everything now. Where does that originality line go, and where does, I gave you the concept, you can embellish it now?
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm finding with AI is, how's the best way to say this? I'm only so smart. Okay. I feel like Forrest Gump. I'm not a smart man, but I'm only so smart. But if I take an idea or a question or what have you, and I put it into AI, it's actually getting things that I would not think about and opening concepts to me that are worth exploring. And if it allows me to do that, it's actually expanding my knowledge base instead of limiting what I'm capable of within my own 8 inches between my ears.
But then I'm going to go back to what you said about the calculator, because, I was taught, you were taught in school. I tried to teach my daughters this way too, that it's worth showing what you did, how you got there. The journey was important, but now you're saying just get the facts.
And the question is, for people that are English majors, I'm really going to tick them off. It's like, why do I really need to know about prepositions and suppositions and all of this stuff? I don't need to know that. I need to know that if I write an idea, is that idea communicated in a way that someone can understand? So knowing the mechanics of it versus getting the outcome of it. It's like an electric vehicle. I really don't need to know how it works. I just need to know I plug it in, I turn it on, and I smoothly glide down the road.
I think a lot of educators would give you a big old F on that one there. But
Yeah,
that's where this conversation's going. Now, I want to have a little fun here tonight, because this topic is one that's going to impact a lot of people. I can remember when we all watched the original Star Wars. It was so great, so good. And then George Lucas decided to go in and re-enhance a couple things and change a couple characters, have it match up and sync up with the longer canon he was creating. I was like, you don't have to mess with it. It was good enough. Now he's gone in multiple times and done it. We've seen the beginning of that, but now I'm going to share and have your thoughts on this. And I want your thoughts as a videographer, as a creator. Here we have Indiana Jones, the brand new movie, Destiny of the Dow. Great movie, by the way. But the first 25 minutes is Harrison Ford regenerated as age 35. He's 79.
Yep.
What do you think about this? Because it was 25 minutes of him pretending to be 35 with a digital face on.
Yeah, and Rich, this is the thing that scares the folks in Hollywood, because the reality is the ability of technology to be able to do that has two impacts. One, to Harrison Ford, it affords the 79-year-old the ability to play in the movie so that his character at 79 can be reflected at 35, but it also means that any of us at any point in time could be recharacterized.
Yes, you can change the story, change the narrative, which scares the daylights out of me as a guy who loves the original stories. I've read the books. I already have my picture made. That's why when Lord of the Rings was done, he got it right.
Yep.
He got it really right. Now, let me show you one other here, because this is also the recent new Flash movie. Now, they went into the multiverse. I won't geek out too much in comic books. You know I love those. But you have Christopher Reeves from the 1970s. You have Cavill, who's been the current Superman. And Nicolas Cage has always wanted to be Superman. They started a production of a movie called Superman Lives. Tim Burton wrote it, directed it. And then Warner Brothers said, no, you're killing Superman. And they hit it. It was never released. They never finished it. In this movie, Nicolas Cage flew and acted and interacted with other previous Supermans.
Yep.
What do you think of this?
Well, this to me is in a sense no different than a Jurassic Park, in a sense, in that you recognize that there are the two real versions that were filmed. I'm going to call it filmed as in old fashioned, but digitized. And if it's digitized, it can be changed. By the way, not a lot different than when Rob Foray came into our studio for a virtual event as the MC and said, if I could only clone myself. And then we cloned him. So there were 5 Rob Forays standing there, and it was really freaking cool. And the audience loved it because it was unique and different, embracing technology.
See, and that's where there's so many different viewpoints. It's creative. It's good. Oh, by the way, we have a dear friend with us here tonight. We want to say hello and acknowledge Deborah Gardner's in the house. Deborah G.
Yep, Deborah G.
We love Deborah G. By the way, if you want to see a killer video of someone that made a hot sizzle reel promoting themselves, fellow speaker Deborah G., you want to go check that out. And we will get Deborah on the show. I know we will have her on coming up this year as well. But you just mentioned you did it in real time. It was not part of the plan. You played around. You learned how to do this. How far do we go? Because you're right. We've opened up Pandora's box for creators. But now I'm going to put on the ethical hat because you talk and speak on ethics.
Yep.
Where do we go? How do we police this, control this? Are we going to have a branded corner down here saying AI created? What are we going to do?
You know, Rich, first thing, let me just say, I think there are 2 very distinct questions. You know, one is, do you disclose I'm using AI, which is an ethical issue, okay? Yep. The other is, from an ethics perspective, are people using it for positive, I'm going to call it creative, artistic uses, or are they using it for nefarious purposes? And the problem is, there is no way, this is going to sound really jerky, but there's no way the government is ever going to be able to totally police it, because they will be so far behind the 8 ball by the time they think they're writing a law that might make some sense for applicability purposes. It's going to be so far past. It's like, how do you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Right. It's already out there. And
It's
again,
out.
that's one of the biggest reasons Hollywood is shut down right now. From everyone's version of it, that's what's going on. And it is a big question. And I understand the actors are wanting streaming content rights or wanting other things. But one of the biggest one is if you start pasting my face all over the place, what do I get? I'll be in a digital entity.
Right.
But I may not really have ever been involved with the project.
Yeah, and here's I'm going to say this, and I say it's funny, it's ironic. There is a well-known speaker. I won't reveal his name because it's not relevant for here, but a well-known speaker with a huge body of work, massive body of work. And so one of the things that he's doing is he's working with some folks in California who can really do what I'm going to refer to as great deep fake content.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you can't tell the mouth. It's perfect. And what in effect they're doing is they're saying, okay, look, me. It's not me, by the way. But hey, Chuck, we're going to deep fake you. We're then going to take this volume of work that you've done and put it into a database, an AI database, so that then from a future perspective, you can sell being the virtual person that answers the questions. Because the probability is that question's been answered 50 different ways. So if somebody came on and said, well, what do I do if my prospecting is not yielding results and I'm a sales guy? I can say, when your prospecting is not yielding results, there are several things that you need to think about. And the entire time it's AI. Now, here's the thing. He's driving it because he recognizes that creates legacy revenue. So if I'm an actor, let's say I was Morgan Freeman in that voice.
Oh.
If I'm that, I want to create legacy revenue and license it instead of being afraid of it and getting all,
Well, it's already been done.
Oh yeah.
James Earl Jones, before he passed, gave Lucas Studios the right to use Darth Vader in AI voice.
Oh yeah.
Forever, basically. Yep. Now, I think he's also having some of the funds siphoned off to a charity for a nonprofit, which I think is a great idea. If you're going to do it, otherwise you get into who keeps the money when the next generation dies. The next generation. So there's got to be some safeguards and guardrails out there, but it already is being done. We will always hear Darth Vader as Darth Vader.
Right. I am your father. That would be so cool. By the way, there is an AI program that I'm playing around with. It's called 11labs.io, and it will work to replicate your voice. Okay. So I've read several chapters of my book once, and then I read it again, and then I read it again. So it had intonation and my phrasing and so forth. And right now it's not perfect, but it has cloned my voice.
Wow.
Such that I took one of my guys into my office and I said, would you listen to this? Something doesn't seem right. And I played it for him, the cloned voice. And I said, what do you think? He says, sounds good to me. And I said, who is it? He said, are you punking me? That's you. Now, why I did that was because I wanted to play with it. But the outcome is I can now do an audio book and I don't have to read it. My cloned voice can, which means I won't make mistakes.
You drop in the text and the voice AI grabs it and it will do it. I just saw a CBS News feature that one of the men did an AI voice. They called his mother. He asked for his mom to go make a copy of his driver's license and public records. And then after she stumbled through it, they called her again. He said, Mom, did you just get a call from me? She said, yes. I thought it was kind of weird, but why did you call me? And then he told her that was AI. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
We're already there. When you talk about deep fakes earlier, we're already there in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a question that popped up, which I think is interesting in the chat. It was talking about industries and including healthcare. Rich, one of the things that strikes me is really, really interesting is the more data that gets put into the database, especially for healthcare. And it's 2023. Okay. So this to me is like when 2030 rolls around, holy crap. Yes. But literally AI can take your health information and the markers that we accumulate over time, and it in many cases has a better chance of predicting disease before it happens than maybe the doctor does. And if that can be harnessed, think about the implication of if you can catch something early before it gets too late. I mean, and that's just probably the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, I saw a news journal on that same subject this week, and it already is being used, whether you know it or not. As a patient, as a client,
Yep.
hospitals are already using AI.
Yep.
So let me go back to deep fake for a second.
Sure.
Because I did go see the new Mission Impossible movie. Really good. It's part one of a two-parter. But in that, they're doing a major airport scene. Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, is walking down the hall, and they're putting the villains now have taken over an AI area, and they're putting Ethan Hunt's face on other people walking down the hallway as other people are chasing him, trying to capture him, and they pull it off. It's not them. I wonder how close we are to that. And if so, how do we protect ourselves from AI going rogue, being manipulated wrong?
I hate to say this. Some people are going to get real upset. I'm not sure we can. Think about it this way. We have grown up in a time frame where we're putting so much material out, so much content out, especially as professional speakers.
Yes.
YouTube videos, we're all over the place. You can get my voice, you can get my image, you can see me on stage. As long as we're making that publicly accessible, we have also therefore I'm not saying we've given rights to, but by making it publicly accessible, people for nefarious purposes that want to use that can.
So some of our videos are watermarked. I have the logo up on the one corner of this all the time. It's a watermark. What are some suggestions, do you think, for those that may be concerned about their copyright protection, someone ripping and twisting their material? How can we help fellow speakers, fellow content creators from being exploited?
Well, I'm not sure we can. I hate to say that. Okay, so now I'm going to be the sucky guest that says, yeah, you can't do a thing about it. But I say this to say, if it's watermarked, unless it is watermarked across you, which would be kind of weird,
Right.
But unless that's watermarked, and I know I could take this video, I could take your portion of this video, I could drop it into AI, and it will cut out everything around you and just give me your image. So as long as I have your image, unless there is something on there that is somehow digitally watermarked, then the reality is the fact that it's in the corner is not going to help a lot. And Rich, in fairness, we talk about this like it's, oh my God, this could be terrible. Well, the same thing is true. You wrote a book in 1930. The book's published and it's in the library. What keeps somebody from going in the library and plagiarizing the book and writing content from your book? The answer is nothing unless you catch it.
And it's already been done and been done and been done. That's yes.
Yep.
But it is a new genie out of the box.
Yep.
And again, we're sort of in the entertainment business as speakers, content creators. We're falling in line with those people in Hollywood. Someone asked me today, so you're in the business. Should you go on strike? And I'm like, I don't have my SAG card, but this is where the conversations are going to keep going, aren't they, Chuck?
Yeah, it is. And there are so many iterations of this. The one thing I'll say, people hate to hear it, but is, for most of us as speakers, quantity is more valuable to Google than quality. Now, sad to say, but think about it in fairness. If you did a video every day and you posted it on YouTube, they would look at you as a content provider. It could be mindless without a great deal of value. As long as an audience is willing to look at it, it's okay.
Here's Chuck, I already do that. I always do. I have a new video every day on YouTube.
No. You're on YouTube, but it's not mindless content. But I'll say this. The speakers in the world, the content creators who embrace AI and can harness its power will dramatically capture audience attention. And one of the easiest things to do, I make it very simple. I do a short video every day, a short on YouTube every day.
Mm-hmm.
In fairness, I took a chapter of my book, I put it into Chat GPT. I said, write me 25 titles. Now write me an 80-word monologue on that title based upon the content in my book. I sat in the studio, and 20 minutes later, I've done all of them. And now I've got a month's worth of content scheduled on YouTube. So every day there is something that ties back to my book, which means I'm a content creator. Yeah. Is it great? Maybe not. So, but they like the quantity.
What would be some good tips like that? What would be some productive helps for people to really use the AI that's coming out? How should we leverage it to our benefit and not cross that ethical line, do you think?
Okay, so I'll give you a couple of quick examples. When I first started speaking, I asked a question of a lady who was in a $1 million speakers group. I said, what do I need to know to be found? She said, write a blog a day, every day, 5 days a week for 6 months. And I was like, holy crap, what are you talking about? Okay. Yeah. But I did that. Now, it was a little challenging because you had to do it all from up here. Now you don't. So what's the easy way to do that? Find something on your topic that's a news article. Take the news article, put it in Chat GPT. Ask Chat GPT to summarize the article. In other words, if the article's 1,400 words, rewrite it in 700 words. Yeah. Okay. Take that, put it into Quillbot, let it be paraphrased. Take it into Grammarly, add some Chuckizing to it, if that makes sense, or triggerizing, you get the idea, but give it some of your personal flavor. Let it be checked for grammar, plagiarism, and you'll have your blog done, and you can do one of those in 10 to 15 minutes. So could you commit an hour to 2, 1 day a week, so that you would end up with a blog a day, every day, 5 days a week? And if you did, you would be outworking your competitors because most people won't do it. AI makes it easy.
And that's a great example because consistency does pay off.
Yes.
Showing up, quality material, consistent with how you deliver that material, whatever mode you put it out there. That is one of those ways that you will ratchet up your career.
Absolutely. Yep. It's kind of funny. Jane Jenkins Herlong, she's in the Speaker Hall of Fame, come into our studio. She lives pretty close. And, she's sweet tea and Southern humor kind of thing. I mean, just as sweet as she can be. And she was asking, how do we play around with this? And I said, Jane, let's let AI write 25 titles to a YouTube video. And I said, then let it write the content. And we said, write it in the style of Jane Jenkins Herlong, a sweet tea Southern humorist with clean humor, et cetera, et cetera. Rich, it came back and she was like, oh, shut up. She said, that's good. I couldn't have written that better myself. And it sounded just like her. So all she had to do then was read it to create the videos without having to just stress over writer's block and all of the things that can come.
Chuch Gallaher, I know we could go on for hours and hours with this. It is a hot topic, but I do want to let people know how to learn more about you. You are an ethics speaker. You are a video guru. You do a lot of things. What's on your website?
So if you go to the website, that's my personal website for the speaking. I will tell you this, Rich, it's kind of funny. Yes, you're right. I do ethics speaking. Because of AI, I'm doing ethics AI type speaking. And let me just pull the curtain back. Nobody complains about the fee whenever you've got a really hot topic. Otherwise, people think they're ethical till they're not and they want to negotiate. So just saying, sometimes, God smiles on you. But the reality is there's a lot of content that's there if you want to read about it. And secondarily, I own the video company, primoproductions.com. So if you'd like to talk about video, visit me there.
And I highly recommend Primo, by the way. Amazing work he's done with other speakers, authors, content creators, and 10 out of 10 for what Chuch does with that. So
appreciate it.
Chuch, we've got to wind down here. What will be your biggest takeaways, your biggest helps for everyone as we continue? Because this is not done by any stretch of the imagination. And right now, I did talk to some friends in Hollywood, some directors, producers. This is not going to stop very soon. They're shut down. They know they're shut down. We're going to be hearing a lot about this. So what would you say to help everybody tonight?
Well, for those of us who are not SAG members, actors, etc. If it's for those of us that were at the National Speakers Association meeting Influence, which was off the charts good, but for those of us that were there, here's what I would say: embrace it, play with it, learn with it. Because you know, and I know that those people who are on the front side of technology will be the winners when it comes to exposure to the buyers. And you and I have probably a similar age. Maybe you've got hair, I don't. Maybe we should reverse that statement. I've got hair, you don't. By the way, I'm afraid to shave my head. I'm afraid there'll be a flat spot or something. But the thing about it is, those people that embraced the internet when it first came out and really, really connected and understood it were the winners. And for those of us that have a little age on us, the younger generations will clearly expect us to deal with this and know it. Otherwise, we'll become male, pale, and stale. And that's not a place I want to be.
Exactly right. This is one of the times you do need to dig in. You need to learn, do your research, play around with it, because you do not want to get left behind in this. And I'm sure the roundtable will continue on different ethical ideas of how to police each other, support each other to move the line further, because this is never going away. We have opened up the genie, and now how are we going to do with it? What we're going to do with it is really a big question. Chuch Gallaher, thanks for being here tonight. This has been great. I really appreciate all your insights.
Trigger, thanks so much. It's been an honor.
Chuch Gallaher, again, and go check out that website, learn more about what he is up to, what's going on. It really is a treat to have someone like Chuch with his experience and knowledge here on Rock the Stage. By the way, if you want to learn more about how you can check out some of my content, check out the YouTube channel. Hit that QR code. Learn about what we're dropping. Every day we are dropping new content. And no, it's not all AI. It's really me. And you do want to check it out and subscribe. And thank you for everyone that's been a part of that journey to help make it all possible. And we also do want to thank our sponsors here tonight. Again, the National Speakers Association. The National Speakers Association, the NSA, celebrating 50 years of helping speakers, authors, influencers learn how to rock the stage in their own way and elevate their brand and their brand stories. Thank you for helping making this possible, everyone here. And then, of course, Audavita Studios. Audavita is helping to power Rock the Stage now. They have high technology. They work with authors, speakers, influencers, audiobooks. And when this show is done, they will be turning into an audio podcast and putting it back up on the audio platforms for everyone to follow, like, and share once again. Thank you for Audavita for making it all possible. That's going to do it for tonight. I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. We'll be back again 2 p.m. live tomorrow and back next week, 7 o'clock Eastern time for more How to Rock the Stage. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week right here, 7 o'clock Eastern time, streaming live each and every week. That's Rock the Stage Media.